Hi everyone, I'm Joana Filgueiras, and I'm super happy to be here with my Lama Karma Chotso in Miami to talk a little bit about Buddhism and meditation. So thank you so much for giving me the time.
Thank you for inviting me. That's great.
Yes, it's something that I've been wanting to talk for a long time. And as you know, I've been going for many years in the Buddhism. So I wanted to start just asking for you, like, what is the essence of Buddhism?
Well, the essence of Buddhism, I mean, if you're talking about the teachings of the Buddha, no matter how you might split it up, the Buddha really only taught one thing, and he taught what the true nature of reality actually is.
Which is
Well, there are many ways to explain that, but when the Buddha taught, what you got from it was sort of where your level was. So it wasn't as if they talk about, oh, he taught the three wheels. It's not necessarily, although who knows for sure, that he taught these three separate things. It was that when he taught, you could find all of these different levels in everything that he said, from the most fundamental thing about, how to live in this world, in this mundane world, to the most profound and deepest realization of absolute reality. You see? So it depended on where you were, more than that he was trying to gauge things for different levels.
that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, he was trying to teach everyone, include everyone in the teachings.
Well, he wasn't trying to do anything. He was just,
I like that.
yeah, he was a Buddha.
He's just doing it.
He
You
didn't
follow
have to
if you
try.
want.
He didn't have to try. It just, spontaneously manifesting enlightened mind. How that happened, I'm not really sure, but I wish I would have been there.
I wonder if who was there though got it,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Some people did and some people didn't.
because it was probably something very foreign, very out of.
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different. Yes,
And it still
absolutely.
is, right, for so many people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For so many, I mean, I think one of the questions you were thinking of talking about was whether or not Buddhism is a religion.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Oxford English Dictionary, it does not say that it is, because it's not theistic.
Yeah, and the reason I was thinking that is because I see a lot of people from different religions coming into Buddhism, becoming meditators, and but they still keep their religion. So it doesn't feel like there is a conflict.
No, there's no conflict at all. The thing is that when my nephew started practicing Buddhism, he wrote to me an email one day, and he said, "I'm so happy that I started to practice Buddhism because it's made me a better Christian."
That's nice.
And the thing is that the techniques in Buddhism can be used by almost anyone, because meditation is going to help you in so many different ways, but it definitely helps you to to follow your spiritual path, whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a skill, it's a technique, it's a set of skills that one can use in anything.
And meditation is the main practice of Buddhism.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, there are different ways that we act and different ways that we function, right? So we have body, speech, and mind. We have the view, which would be our intellectual understanding, or our philosophical underpinnings for what we do. And then we have meditation, which is, there are a myriad ways of meditating and all these different techniques. But then we also have conduct when we're off the cushion. Right? So we have these three ways of practicing: through establishing the view, through meditation, and through our conduct that comes about through the view and meditation.
Which is so important, because I feel like
so important.
I feel like everyone wants to go sit on a cushion, or even in religions, they will go to the church and now I'm forgiving for everything and now I'm in peace, and then you go outside and you have to deal with the real world and you just forget everything.
But the thing is what the Dalai Lama said is that you can't find peace outside of yourself if you don't have it in your own mind. You see? So it seems harsh to say this, but really what you experience is in some way what is already in your mind.
It's a reflection.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that a lot because in reality what you experience is your own judgment of what is happening, correct?
Well, not judgment as much as it is, you're probably not often going to experience what you don't expect.
Right.
Right? So your expectations is what really has to change. And the expectations can change as you change your habitual patterning. But the habitual patterning is not like, oh, I'm smoking cigarettes, now I'm going to stop that. The habitual patterning is much more subtle and much more, much deeper than we normally think of it as being. So it's the habitual patterning of how we think, how we react. Our reactionary stuff is incredible. Mm-hmm. Our relational things, the way we react in that way is so programmed. Yeah. So those are the things that have to change, and that kind of change can only happen if you understand the view and if you practice the meditation.
So what do you mean by understand the view?
Well, the view is the intellectual part of it. So that can be known or that can be understood.
So would that be the awareness of how you react and the awareness of what you're expecting?
The awareness part of it mostly comes through meditation. The view is like understanding intellectually and being able to reason and use logic to understand that all phenomena that we experience, all of our experiences and ourselves also, have no truly inherent nature. We're always changing, right? So if something had truly inherent nature or true existence, as they say, then it would always have been here. It would never change. It would never go away. So the thing is that the view helps one to begin to accept that what we are experiencing is not all it's cracked up to be. You know, there's something fishy under there. You know, it's like there's fish under the water in that river over there. And so there's a thing that's happening that kind of makes us, I think it's one of the things that can cause us to begin to try a spiritual path, because we recognize that things are not as solid as we experience.
It's a feeling that there's something more.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think when I studied Kabbalah, and they used to say everything that we see and do is only 1% of what is happening.
Oh yeah.
There's like a whole 99% out there.
Yes, but it's not out there. It's in here. Not necessarily in the brain, but it's in your mind. You know, so one has, through meditation, through the view, one begins to expand one's understanding, intellectual understanding, and allow, by opening your view, you begin to allow new perspectives. And then in the meditation is where you begin to allow the mind to settle down and open up to all of its possibilities and all of its potential.
So I was telling you right before we started, when I first started meditating, it was very frustrating because I thought I was going to sit there and everything would be calm. And instead, I started feeling all the anxiety coming out. So I couldn't deal with it. And for years, I didn't meditate again. And then I started my practice again probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I started to understand a little more of the no attachments to the feelings. Is that what you would call?
Yeah, you might call it that. Yeah.
It's
not fixating on them.
Right. It's going to come. It's there. Realize for what it is and let go, kind of
Right.
thing.
Right. That's very good.
Yes, I got it.
Very good. You got part of it.
Yeah. Part of it. You really did.
No, that's great. That's a really good understanding. But one of the things that happens is that people have sort of a mistaken view of what it is to meditate. And so one woman came to me and she said, "Oh, I can't come anymore because I can't meditate." And I said, "What makes you think you can't meditate?" And she would sit there in her posture perfectly, and I thought she was doing quite well. And she said, "Well, I can't stop thinking." I said, "Well, neither can I." So she thought that meditation was that all of her thoughts should stop, her mind should simply stop, and then she would be at peace, which might be the case. But it's not going to happen in a few weeks.
But I mean, if you get there, you were amazing, right? It's like, if you can get to that point in this lifetime, you were like...
Yes, but it doesn't happen because you sit there and say, stop thinking.
Yeah.
Right? That's just another thought. And if you tried to stop thinking, you would probably go mad.
Yeah.
You know? So what happens with meditators in the beginning sometimes is that as soon as you just drop all other activity and stop distracting yourself from the real feelings and thoughts going on inside, they come up so you can see them. It's not that they weren't there before.
And that was my thing, is that they come up and I didn't know what to do with them.
Exactly.
And that was the frustration. And I think today I understand I don't need to do anything with them.
Yeah.
So many times I'll be meditating and I usually do 20, 25 minutes in the morning. And some days are harder than others, because I'm human.
For me too. Yes.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to exercise is, instead of wanting to rush and get out of there, it's just what I'm doing lately is I count unto 100. I count my breaths to 100. That's how I kind of keep my time. And there are days that I'm like, okay, I'm at 60. I had enough for today. And it's just like, no, I'm going to finish this. And I'm going to deal with it. And it'll be fine, you know?
Yeah.
But it can be difficult. And I tell people that I meditate, or I tell people to meditate, and usually the response I get is exactly that. I can't meditate. I can't sit still.
Because they don't know what meditation is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend who is just constantly on the move. But the one time that I got her to sit down and meditate with me, she said, I'm going to float out of here. You know? I don't know if she ever did it again, but at least she began to understand what meditation is. So, you know, meditation for the beginner is taking a focus, having a focal point to always return to, and to just simply try to remain as undistracted as you can. And as soon as you notice you've been distracted, then just drop it and return. You know? So it's not that the first few weeks you try to meditate, you're going to sink into a deep samadhi, you know, and not come out of it for a week. That happens to very few people.
What is the difference that people usually experience once they start with a more constant meditation practice?
Well, they begin to calm down. The mind begins to calm. They begin to experientially, not intellectually, but experientially, see that all of these things that all of the mental events like thoughts and feelings and things like that come up in our minds, they just come and go. And if you can just sit there and simply be aware that they're coming and going, then what is there to fixate on?
Yeah, it's amazing, because what I've been realizing, and one of the awareness that came to me with time, was that we make our thoughts to be the ultimate truth, right? We look at someone and we say, this person doesn't like me. For whatever reason, our mind interpreted that, and all of a sudden it's the ultimate truth, and we are acting different with this person, and we are just...
Yes.
And with meditation, I feel like when you start detaching, you're like, well, that may be just my thought. It may not be the reality. And let me see where it goes. And it may be reality, but it doesn't matter either.
Yeah, but the thing is that that's not based on the other person. That's based on you.
On your interpretation,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also based on your feelings and your this and your that. Instead of simply sitting back and letting the other person be who they are and just seeing whether or not that's what you said is true.
Right.
We just don't do that. Our reactionary impulses are so fast.
It's true. And it's all based on past experiences.
Yep, it is.
So basically, meditation is letting go of your past experiences
Well,
and being in the present.
Well, it is. Actually, it is. It's about. I don't like the thing about be here now, because there's no be and there's no here and there's no now that you can capture.
Which is a completely foreign thing for the human mind, right? Like we can get that.
But the moment now, that was a now.
Yeah.
It's already gone. So how are you going to sit in that? Right? You can only really, I think, sit in your own awareness And if you're sitting with awareness rather than engaging in what arises, then no matter what arises, you won't be distracted during your meditation. You see?
And hopefully you learn how to take that into your outside life.
It does. It does. It's not that you have to learn how to do that. It happens automatically. Because you can't sit on a cushion for an hour a day and not have that affect how you interact with the world and with others. Yeah. It always has an impact on that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Now you said an hour a day, so that can be scary. So
Why?
what is, because I started with 5 minutes a day when I started.
Yes, I know. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
And then it went into 10, and then it went into 15,
Mm-hmm.
and then it went into 20. Now I'm around 25. The other day I was able to do 40, and I was like, yes, 40.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah.
Because, and I think that's another point that people need to understand, because when you say, yeah, I gotta sit there for an hour, and you can, because your legs are hurting and your back is hurting or whatever it is. So for me, it was very important to kind of be gentle with myself and be
Oh,
like,
that's very important. I'm glad you brought that up.
Mhm.
Yeah, because sometimes people think I need to have this discipline and I need to do this, and they get too harsh with themselves.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm saying an hour a day, it doesn't mean that you can't do 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, and 20 minutes at night.
right,
That's an hour a day.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know,
right.
just get it in.
Yeah, and for me at the time, it was like living in New York, living the crazy life, and all I had was my 15 minutes before going to work, because I started feeling the difference, so I was willing to wake up a few minutes earlier,
Good for you.
which was like the big thing.
Uh-huh.
It really started like one day I woke up and I had an extra 5 minutes, and I said, let me sit here and just meditate. And it felt good. So I started doing it every day, and then it's like, all right, now I have 10 minutes, so let me do 10 minutes now. And there were days that I really didn't want to wake up, and I'm like, I know I'm going to feel better if I do and sit there
Exactly.
and do my 15 minutes.
Exactly. See, it has to be experiential after
Yeah.
a while. Yeah.
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 But I think that's a big thing of like being gentle with yourself, and
Mhm.
because we
Yeah.
live in such a competitive world that it's meditation should be the opposite. You're not competing with anyone.
Not with yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're not competing with the clock. You're just sitting.
And which was another thing for me. We're not competing with the clock. The time is gonna pass as it needs to pass. You're not gonna rush it. Breathing faster is not gonna make it go by faster.
It's not. It's really not. But sinking into the awareness of the time passing can make the time passing something that you focus on. You know, it's really so simple. But our habitual pattern is to constantly engage in every single split second of thought and feeling that arises, thinking that there's something real about it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why we stress out. That's why stress is so huge. You know, the Karmapa, His Holiness the 17th Karmapa, was explaining stress one time, and he said, well, imagine that in your backyard you have a big boulder that weighs a couple of 1,000 pounds, and you have to remove that boulder from your backyard. He said, if every time you think about the boulder, you think your thought weighs as much as the boulder, you're going to be walking around like this. You know, you're going to be totally stressed out. But thoughts don't have any weight whatsoever.
It's true.
They weigh nothing. You see? So that's one of the things that we're doing. We're constantly carrying around
The weight of our thoughts.
what we believe
Yeah.
is the weight of our thoughts. But thoughts don't weigh anything. Feelings weigh nothing. And yet that's how we determine things in our lives, that huge, huge decisions that we make in our lives are based solely upon that.
Yeah. And I find it interesting that feelings for me, it's another thing that I started seeing is like we judge feelings as good as bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want the bad ones. You want the good ones.
Yes,
always.
yes.
But the reality is feelings just are feelings.
Yeah.
The good or bad is our judgment. The reality is you have to feel the good and the bad to be able to feel, because it's just feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is that the essence of all feeling is the same.
Your thoughts?
No.
What
No.
is it?